Hello, I'm Janan Leah.
Hi, and I'm Shakeen Brown.
I am Rafaela Capuano.
Our presentation is on domestic violence. We will be role-playing with a child, an adolescent, and an adult exposed to domestic violence. As defined by the National Coalition of domestic violence is willful intimidation, physical assault, battery, sexual assault, and/or other abusive behavior as part of a systematic pattern of power and control perpetrated by one intimate partner against another.
According to the National Coalition Against Domestic Violence, in the United States, more than 10 million adults experience domestic violence each year. On average, nearly 20 people per minute are physically abused by a partner in the United States. On a typical day, domestic violence hotlines nationwide receive over 19,000 calls. Victims of domestic violence would lose a total of 8 million days of paid work each year, the equivalent of 32,000 full-time jobs. Domestic violence is estimated to cost the United States between $5.8 billion and $12.6 billion annually.
Intimate partner violence, also known as domestic violence, is indeed a public health issue that is the worldwide and can rightly be labeled as a pandemic. Women from all cultures, races, social economical status are at risk at being a target of a male perpetrator. With this said, social workers should have interventions that reflect gender, race, and cultural variations. In addition, effective intimate partner violence prevention and support services focused on trauma-informed care should be modeled.
1 in 15 children are exposed to intimate partner violence each year, with 90% of these children as eyewitnesses to this violence. Children who witness domestic violence have a greater incidence of insomnia, verbal, motor, and cognitive issues, learning difficulties, self-harm, anger, aggression, and antisocial behavior, substance abuse, along with depression and anxiety. Boys who see their mother being abused are 10 times more likely to abuse their female partners as adults, while girls who see their mother being abused by their father are 6 times more likely to be sexually abused compared with girls who grow up in a non-abusive home. I'm going to be communicating with Justin. Justin is a 10-year-old male played by Shakeem. His teacher notes that he has not been engaging with his schoolwork, which is unusual for him. He's normally gregarious, but he's isolating. His teacher found out that his parents have been fighting and his mother is being battered by his father at home. Hi, Justin. Your teacher said that you're having some problems in class and that you mentioned that there's trouble at home with your dad getting really mad and hitting your mom. Is that right? Okay, all right. So I'm wondering if it's okay with you for me to share some things that happen to kids when they experience their parents being violent with each other. Is that okay? So when you hear and see your dad hitting your mom, you might feel scared and want to run and hide. Maybe you kind of feel frozen, like you don't know what to do. Or maybe you get really mad and you want to do something to stop your dad. Maybe you feel all of these things at one time. So let me explain what's happening in the brain when a kid is under this kind of stress. So if we look at my hand, this is going to, the brain has 2 halves that sit inside the head. And so this portion of the brain represents the brain stem. And deep inside the middle of the brain is the emotional brain that senses if there's danger or threat. And we're going to use my thumb to represent the part of the brain that's the emotional brain. Think about it as though you would consider it a dog. My fingers represent the top of the brain, or the thinking part of the brain, where you make choices every day, like what you're going to wear or what kind of snack you want to have. So when you're not stressed and your brain is working normally, the thumb, the dog, is quiet and it lies there resting, and the fingers are down and you're able to think clearly. Almost as though my fist is like a barn, and sitting on top of the barn is a wise owl that can make good choices and knows what to do. So when you start to see your dad getting angry at your mom, your emotional brain, that dog, senses that there's danger and it starts to bark. The wise owl flies off, and that thinking part of the brain is turned off. And that's why you may not know what to do. At that moment, all your brain knows is that there's danger, and it wants you to run or fight or become really still. And that's why you can feel mad or scared or frozen all at the same time. So when things calm down and everyone's okay, that emotional brain settles down, that dog stops barking, the thinking brain comes back online, and the wise owl returns, and you know what to do. So the most important thing here, Justin, is that you stay safe, that you're able to go somewhere safe where you're not in the path of being hurt. Can you do that? Another thing, Justin, this is not your fault. This is not your fault. Even if it started with your parents talking about you, you are not responsible for what your father is doing to your mother. When kids go through what you're going through, they can have trouble sleeping. Maybe they're afraid to go to sleep, or they have nightmares. Maybe they get stomach aches or headaches. Maybe they can't settle down. They feel jumpy, like they have to watch more. Either they stay away from their friends, or they feel really frustrated and mad, and they start to act mean to other kids, perhaps. Maybe they want to break things or not follow the rules. In the classroom, are you having a hard time paying attention? Or you don't understand what the teacher is saying so much anymore? Because that can happen too. Maybe you feel sad a lot or scared, with your heart pounding hard and fast in your chest, and it feels like you have butterflies flying around in your stomach. Does any of this sound like what you might be experiencing? A lot of kids who are going through what you're going through at home can react this way. And I'm here to help you understand how you're feeling and help you find ways to handle your feelings so things work out better for you. How does that sound? Okay.
Teen dating violence is common. Data from the CDC's Youth Risk Behavior Survey and the National Intimate Partner in Sexual Violence Survey indicated that nearly 1 in 11 female and approximately 1 in 14 male high school students report having experienced physical dating violence in the last year. 1 in 8 female and 1 in 26 male high school students reported having experienced sexual dating violence in the last year. 26% of women and 15% of men who are victims of contact sexual violence, physical violence, or stalking by an intimate partner in their lifetime have experienced these forms of violence by their partner before the age of 18. Some of the things to look for when it comes to youth who are victims of teen dating violence is that they will have more than likely experience symptoms of depression and anxiety, engage in unhealthy behaviors like tobacco, drugs, and alcohol, exhibit antisocial behaviors like lying, theft, bullying, or hitting, and think about suicide. Keisha is part of our youth ladies group. This group was created to discuss with young ladies who have experienced difficulties such as having domestic violence in their home and homelessness. Keisha has always been a leader and an encourager in our group. She shared her experience of being exposed to violence, death, and domestic violence within her home, and she's often looked up to. Keisha has just recently been in a more in-depth relationship with a long-term boyfriend who seems to be always around. Over the past couple of months, there has been a significant change in Keisha. Her appearance has changed. She has become unpolished, or as if she just woke up. Keisha has become more irritable, and she started mocking and bullying some of the other girls in our group. Keisha has also started crying, and one day she shared out of the blue that she wanted to die. Today, you will witness me, Keisha's counselor, speaking with her about the concerns of teen domestic violence. Today, Raph will play Keisha. Hi, Keisha. I'm so glad that you decided to meet with me today. I want you to know that we care about you and we want the best for you. Over the past couple of weeks, you have changed in your demeanor, and it concerns me that you shared that you wanted to die. There are some things that I've noticed in you that have changed, and I noticed that you've always been well kept, and lately you focus less on your appearance. Keisha, it seems like you may be going through a tough time, and sometimes I know you may feel depressed, overwhelmed, hopeless, which is why you've probably been crying and wanting to hurt yourself. I was thinking that maybe your anger is contributing to the bullying that has taken place during our groups as well. Before I go into detail about why I'm really here, I wanted to go ahead and go over a couple of diagrams for you, just to go over a couple pieces of information that I found. Keisha, on this form, you're gonna see 3 categories. One is for healthy, unhealthy, and abusive relationships. As you can see in a healthy relationship, there's a lot of communication, there's honesty, people enjoy the time together, you guys are there for one another. You and your boyfriend probably have experienced this in the beginning of your relationship. Then underneath unhealthy, you're not communicating as much, you're only spending time together, there's become some dishonesty, and it seems like somebody's trying to take control. Over the last couple of months, you feel like there's been a change in your relationship where you guys were able to be freely spend time with other people, that now you have to spend more time together. Do you see any changes? Right. And what I don't want it to do is become completely abusive. Abuse is when the communication is in a form of being, threatening or hurting. You start being mistreated. You feel that you're being controlled, and you feel like you're being isolated. And I've noticed that here lately, you really have not been doing too much with our group anymore. It's kind of like you've been off to yourself. And I show you that particular diagram just so you can see in front of you the difference, because sometimes we tend to not understand what the difference is until it's visually in front of us. On this next diagram, I just want to show you the diagram of the power and the control wheel. This is telling you all the different things that considered as being violence and a part of the teen domestic violence, such as isolation, such as economical abuse, intimidation, verbal abuse. All of these are things that you can look at anytime that you want to come in my office, and you'll be able to see it virtually. The other chart, you're more than welcome to come here and look over it anytime. If you feel that you are experience any of those, I'm here for you to talk to. Listen, I know there may be times that you may not feel comfortable going to your parents or an adult, and that is okay. However, I want you to be able to have a private outlet that you can feel free to discuss any of your fears, or if you need immediate assistance. I want to give you this number. It's the National Teen Date and Abuse Hotline. It's a hotline that it will allow you to be able to discuss your concerns with someone that really doesn't know what's going on. Or if you feel like you're in harm's way, it's open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And you never have to feel like somebody is intruding. They're going to listen to you. With that said, I want you to save this in your phone, but save it underneath a number that you know that only you know what it's for. You can choose a nickname or something like that. You can even put my name on here. But make sure that you keep this just in case you may need it. Before you go, I'm going to type in and send you a link, which is a website that you can go to as well. And the website is pretty cool because it gives you some privacy. You have to hit on a button. No one really knows that you're on there. And you can go on there and look up information as well. I want you to know again that we're here for you, and everything that I'm giving you is confidential, and they're with non-reporting centers, meaning that they don't report everything that you tell them, but they will guide you to make the right decisions. Keisha, I hope that you're able to come to me when you feel the need to talk. I will not judge you. I'm here to help you, and I want you to become greater. Thank you for coming in to see me today.
One in 4 women and 1 in 10 men experience intimate partner violence during their lifetime, with an impact of concerns for their safety, PTSD symptoms, injury, or needing victim services. Approximately 1 in 5 female victims and 1 in 20 male victims need medical care. Female victims sustain injuries 3 times more often than male victims. Women between the ages of 18 to 24 are most likely abused by their partner. Domestic violence is physical, sexual, or psychological abuse between people who live together. Physical abuse is the most common form of domestic violence. Physical abuse includes hitting, kicking, punching, choking, slapping, breaking bones, arm twisting, burning, beating, and more. Sexual abuse is also common. Sexual abuse involves of threats or force in sexual contact. This includes kissing, grabbing, touching, and rape. Lastly, psychological abuse includes abusive language, social isolation, and financial control. I will continue working with Lisa. She is a 24-year-old Caucasian female who will be played by Janan. Lisa has began services with us due to her lack of motivation at work. Her HR department has recommended 10 therapy sessions and possibly more sessions if needed. Lisa informed a colleague that her fiance has changed for the worse. He has been physically abusive towards her and emotionally abusive. She has not shared this information with additional friends and/or family members. Hi, Lisa. I appreciate you coming to see me again for our 3rd session. I know you do not want to be here, but your company is very concerned about you. They care about you. Do you feel the same way? Do you understand why you're here? Prior to these events, you would have reached your quota by Wednesday afternoon, but now it is challenging to reach that by Friday afternoon. Not only does your company want to see changes within your work, but also within your personal life. Your well-being is the most important, and I hope you agree to that also. I know you have shared with me before that prior to your engagement, your fiance was very sweet, loving, and kind to you. He made you happy. But now that has shifted gears, and you guys are planning the wedding. Do you think it's a control thing? Is anybody in his family abusive? You are very pretty and kind and smart, so I know you are aware of the damage that the domestic violence could cause. It may increase your stress level, anxiety, and diagnosis of post-traumatic stress disorder, which is also known as PTSD. It can make you aggressive, irritable, and fearful of others, even though you trust them. Your radar might be up more than usual because you've been hurt so much. This type of abuse also may cause a trip to the hospital because of broken bones or a dramatic brain injury. He could hurt you so badly and you could fall to the ground that you may go to the hospital. You could hit your head and then your brain will never be the same again. And I'm not trying to say this to scare you, I just want you to be aware. Domestic violence could affect the brain in numerous ways. Domestic violence may cause traumatic brain injury for individuals who experience this trauma by their loved ones. It may cause brain damage to the adult, such as memory, learning challenges, and change in conversation. Also, research has shown that survivors of intimate partner violence who suffer a traumatic brain injury report symptoms such as headaches, difficulty sleeping, and cognitive deficiency with their head injury. You worked very hard in college to accomplish all of your goals, and I know you love your job, but with a traumatic brain injury, it may be challenging for you to complete your work task and also your daily living task. Take this time this week to think about what is more important to you, your own well-being or your fiance. And I know that's a very hard topic and something challenging to think about. And it's not going to be an easy transition, but you have a great support system that care about you. Before we end, I have created a list of resources for you that you may need. There is a domestic violence hotline number that's available 24/7. There's a list of shelters in your area in case you have to leave, and a list of support groups that are experiencing similar trauma. Take the week to think about these resources that I've provided to you, and we could talk more next week. Also, maybe have a bag packed, just in case you do have to leave. I have printed out a few copies for you so you can have a copy in your car, in your purse, in that bag that you could pack in your office, so you don't have to worry about only having the one copy. I'm here to support you, and if you have any questions, please let me know. See you next week.